Come, let us explore how to improve meditation posture and reduce pain. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. The question begins, meditation posture pain, is it worth it? And then continues. Lately, I have been pushing myself to sit in a half lotus posture while meditating. Oh boy. All class, all the time, isn't it, folks? I sit on a cushion and pat my ankles with a light pillow. Most of the time, I have pain in my knees sitting in this posture, and the longer I sit, the more painful it is to come out of the posture. The pain subsides during the meditation. I've been telling myself that I'll get used to it, and perhaps slowly I am, but I also don't want to force the issue if there's no real gain. Is it worth pushing through the pain to achieve this posture, or should it come more naturally? I applaud the enthusiasm and the wherewithal of the person writing this question. It's insightful and well-worded. Good job. You'd be surprised. I've read some questions that would make an English teacher clutch their pearls and fall over dead. Let's begin with some broad brushstrokes. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. So what could it look like when 90% of meditation teachers suck? Well, when meditation teachers embrace and actually recommend that folks be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, then it should not surprise you when they insist there's only one way to sit in order to attain enlightenment, no less meditate. It should not surprise us when these people are elitist and favor those whose body and conditioning supports a specific asana, specifically Padma asana, or Padmasana, if you want to be fancy. These are not... There's a term in literature called an untrustworthy narrator. The best we can do is be like the teacher we hang out with. Do we want to be rigid? Do we want to be controlling? Do we want to be elitist? Or would we rather be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind? I don't know about you. I want to be like the Buddha. Not dead for many, many centuries or merely an archetype, but rather one who has mastered the path. And so, in a nutshell, all you need is two things. A posture or a series of postures that are sustainable for your body. In other words, that you're able to use comfortably without any harm to your body long term. And also the postures that also support an empowered traction between your head and your tush, literally as of pulling your head out of the warm, dark, smelly place we sometimes keep it. What I'd like to do is subject you to the war crime of Jumbo page. Dun, dun, dun. So, welcome to Jumbo Face. I'm now going to demonstrate a series of postures and a series of props. I've been doing this for many decades. I've made every conceivable mistake. I'd love it if your journey could be swifter and easier and more comfortable than mine. So let's dig in. A local yoga teacher here in Burbank, California used to say, "You don't get extra points for suffering." In a Dolly Parton movie, the protagonist said, "Get off the cross, someone needs the wood." So, there was a very popular Qigong teacher from China who now lives in America who insisted that feeling pain when in the full lotus posture was just one of many ways to purify your karma. What a crock. So, let's get to it. What is the basic benefit of learning a way to sit cross-legged? Finding a sustainable way to sit cross-legged means that when a chair or a sofa or a bench is not available, you can still meditate. There's nothing wrong with using a chair, and I'll definitely show you how to do that in just a moment. In fact, let's begin with a chair. One moment while I scurry across the apartment. If you're going to use a chair, use a firm one. I wouldn't recommend sitting back on the couch or sitting back in an easy chair, because that's just a recipe to fall asleep, and it's not going to create the dynamic tension required between your tuchus and your head. So let me show you an efficient way to sit on a chair. So, I'm sitting with my tuchus towards the edge of the chair. No slouching. So I'm sitting towards the edge of the chair. My feet are flat on the floor. As I breathe in, I'm allowing my body to generate a vertical traction, creating my head and my tush. As I relax, I'm allowing my body to release that traction. This does not have to be forced. It is something already wired into us thanks to evolution. Let's move on. I have been accused of being a slow manifestor. Way back in, I think, 84 or 85, I saw a photograph of a home gym with bare wood floors, or what's something wood floors, I forget what they call it, but something wood floors, and it impressed the hell out of me. That was way back in the early 80s, and it wasn't until 2016 that I finally moved into a place with, oh yes, hardwood floors. So is there a way to sit on hardwood floors? Yes, there is. Even if you have zero props, if you learn to do this, you will be able to sit anywhere. Concrete, wood, grass, dirt, you name it. Now, is that optimal? I don't think so, but I'm going to show you the tricks of the trade, if that's okay. So I'm going to adjust the camera angle so you can see my legs. Okay, so right now I'm on the floor, and there are many ways to sit. One way to sit, which I don't enjoy, is to touch the soles of the feet, together. And some people like this. I don't. If you bring your feet in, it's easier for the legs to lower. I don't like it. It puts too much, for me, it puts too much strain on my SI joint. I'm one of those hypermobile people for whom that's not good. So, there is something that is popular in South Asia, and that is to bring one leg in. Oopsie, I skipped a step. Okay, the one that's popular in the tantric tradition is for one leg to be in and the other out. Sometimes this is called the Tara position or the royal ease position. I don't like it because it places an asymmetric pressure on the SI joint. It can be done with either leg, and this brings up a good point. The key to sitting in meditation for 20 or 40 or 60 minutes is to give yourself permission to rotate between postures, even if it's as simple as reversing your legs. There are fools, there are elitists, there are rigid people who will tell you that you must sit like a statue. We did not evolve to do that. And if we ignore our body's cries of pain, we will experience short-term or long-term injuries. I have bone spurs growing off the heads of my femurs that have actually sliced into the linings of my hip joint because I didn't listen to my body. I would prefer if that did not happen to you. Okay, so I've shown you two postures and now a third posture. And it's basically just sitting like this. The legs are on the floor. One's on the inside, one's on the outside. Personally, I don't like it because I find it puts too much pressure on the lower back. So let's move on. My go-to move is there's also another way of sitting. Once again, I don't like it. Some people sit on a bench or they sit kneeling like a samurai. I feel that creates more problems than it solves. So let's move forward. My go-to move is not the full lotus anymore. It's not the half lotus. It's the quarter lotus. The most ancient Buddhist statues depict the Buddha sitting in quarter lotus. And here's how you do it. Arbitrarily choose one leg. Now the thing is, just as in our arms, although we have one humerus, we have two arms and a wrist. We have a radius and an ulna, and they twist. To a limited degree, our tibia and fibia also twist to allow our foot to twist to a limited range. So we want to take advantage of that and rest not the edge of the foot because there's a bone here called the crown of the ankle. We don't want that hitting the concrete. But we can twist not from the knee but from the hip. Let me see if I can adjust this. So not from the knee but the hip. And that allows us to rest the top of the foot, the instep, on the hard surface. So this is comfortable on a hard surface, and so is your tushy. Most of us Americans have rather padded tushies. And we do the same thing here. We turn out from the hip and rest the instep on the calf. I once had a roommate who found this difficult. I told him, do not push it. Do not, and so the best he could do was something like this. I said, that's fine. Sit this way for 5 minutes every 12 hours. And by the end of the week, his body remembered the flexibility of youth. So time and gravity are all the tools we need. This is the favorite posture of the Theravada. I've practiced all three schools, and I've practiced with the full lotus posture. I like this the best. There are so many roadblocks to mastering meditation. We don't need to make our body into a roadblock. So let's discuss props now. One of the first props I invested in many years ago was the so-called Mexican yoga blanket. These are available for a nominal fee. I get mine from Amazon. I'm sorry, it's just a convenient way for me to shop because I'm disabled and I'm pretty much housebound. So let me put this bad boy down. I fold it so that it's about 2 feet by 18 inches. That's just a convenient way of folding it. There's no mystical reason here. Just a convenient place to rest my tojas. Now, the second prop I invested in was something called a zafu. It's a circular cushion. It's made of cotton. It's full with buckwheat hulls. You'll want to buy a zafu that's already full. You'll also want to buy a funnel and a bag of additional buckwheat, because it settles and it gets pressed, and in time you'll just want to add more or subtract more based upon your body's needs. So when you sit on this, I don't recommend sitting here or even here, but in this area right here that helps you to adjust the tilt of your pelvis. That's going to influence your posture. I'd like to demonstrate that for you now, if I may. Oh gosh, here we go. So, we do not want our profile to describe the letter C. We want our profile to describe the letter S. Our back is designed to swing this way. Well, let's see, swing this way, and then this way, and then this way. So here's the trick. Our chest is not our chin is not down. Our chin is not up. The plane of our face, the line described by our chin and our forehead, is perpendicular to the earth. As we breathe in, we allow our body to generate a vertical traction between our head and our tush. As we relax, we release that traction. It may be very subtle. It's just that simple. While we're on this subject, let's talk about hand positions. Okay. There are some meditation teachers which pride themselves, or who pride themselves, in being uptight. And they talk about there's only one way to sit, there's only one leg supposed to be on the bottom, only one leg supposed to be on the top, only one hand supposed to be on the bottom, only one hand supposed to be on top. I don't find that practical. As I mentioned a few moments ago, every few minutes, approximately every 15 minutes, I switch leg positions. So if I'm sitting for the better part of an hour, I'm going to switch my leg positions at least 4 times. Sometimes I don't feel the need to do it, but then when I get up, it's pins and needles. And pins and needles is a great way to twist an ankle, which I would not recommend. So for someone as disabled as myself, I recommend switching leg positions at least once every 15 minutes. If you need to do it more, fine. So let's talk about hand positions. What I like to do is place my left hand in my lap, palm up, my right hand on top. Some people touch thumbs. I find that limiting. Personally, I'm really chi sensitive. That's just part of Elos Downloads. And all this is a great way of bringing your energy to your navel chakra. I don't find it to be very sustainable. Instead, I use a system that I call Bengali crease counting, which I will explain in a few minutes. I should say several minutes. But this is the basic position I use, and either one that goes on top is fine. Personally, I found it more sustainable for my back as if my right hand's on top. I don't know why. It's just easier on my lower back that way. Once again, I've got weird disabilities. So, back to my face. Oy vey, here we go. Boom. Or as Emerald Lagasse used to say, bam. Okay. So there you go. Now you know how to sit sustainably. In a few minutes, I would like to explore the Bengali crease counting. After we go through the rudimentaries of meditation and gentle contemplation. However, I would be remiss if I did not take at least a moment to introduce myself. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you will not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So let us turn our attention to the latest iteration of All Good Ones Easy Meditation. We use All Good Ones not as an entity to be worshipped or believed in, but as simply an archetype of mindfulness and meditation. I should say mindfulness, meditation, love, and the flow state. Let's continue. So I would like to open and close with some very gentle, passive contemplations. The opening contemplation could be described as Mahayoga's wise, first fold of the Buddha's eightfold path that leaps over clinging pride's obstruction to omniscience. Please chant with me. Rather than indulge or controlling tendencies with all follies of active visualization, emotion, magic, and belief, we could just recite these wise words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Let us sidestep the rigidity that confuses metaphors for statements literal, and relax into the flexibility that savors the chance explaining metaphors as similes. So we're going to bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into the path of impermanence, interdependence, and letting go. What are the 4 bases of mindfulness? The circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental. Let us begin with the circumstantial. Please chant with me. Watching how all circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. So we are using the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence. We are using the verb absorb as a metaphor of interdependence. And and just like a firefighter might use fire to fight fire, similarly, we're going to use self-centeredness to transcend pride. So what we're going to do now is take all these words and compress them into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. Together. I just want to make sure that the sound is being recorded, otherwise I will have to cry. Okay, good. Feeling how all bodies or let's try this again. Feel how all bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communicational speech. Hear how all take 3. Hear how all interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. Feeling how all the... Oopsie. Feel how all perceiving, emoting, intending, thinking, recalling, and imagining minds could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite outer sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Now it's time for the main body of this evening's practice, Hatha Yoga's mindfulness and meditation. The 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path that slice through the obscuring emotions of dualities, hope and fear. What I'd like to do now is remind you that the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Doing so induces our cerebral cortex to cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system found in the middle third of our spinal cord. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But perceive what? Perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, such as our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. This is a good time to remind you that the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Similarly, doing this induces our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within both the lower third as well as the upper third of our spinal cord, this parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation and mental release. So here's the wild thing. We have already evolved to practice mindfulness during each inhalation. We've already evolved to practice meditation during each exhalation. So then what's so special about sitting cross-legged on the ground? During a formal meditation practice, we are inviting our brain, our big old bumpy brain, to cooperate with both facets of our autonomic nervous system. That's all. It's just that simple. Now, I promised a few moments ago during the opening lesson that I would teach you Bengali crease counting. And I'm neurodivergent. I'm both ADHD and autistic with all the comorbidities. So for me, I needed to find a way to sit that would be conducive to autistic stimming. And this is useful for autistics and neurotypicals as well. So here we go. Once again, I'm subjecting you to jumbo face. So what we want to do is perform 3 to 4 collections of 144 breaths. We do that 3 ways. The first way is we collect 12 repetitions, or rounds, assuming a round is just one inhalation followed by one exhalation. So, using the technique I just described, wherein during our inhalation we silently and mentally recite this, and during our exhalation we silently and mentally recite ease. During each exhalation, while silently and mentally reciting ease, we can advance our right thumb, beginning with our right little finger and making our way to our index finger. Let's practice together right now. Please do not be alarmed if I'm breathing faster than you. After all, I'm doing all this talking. So we've counted one set of 12 repetitions. How do we count 12 sets? Simple, on our left hand. So on the left hand, we begin with our index finger. This would be our first set of 12, our second set of 12, our third set of 12. So now we know how to count 144 rounds, which is fabulous. How do we count 3 to 4 collections of that? Here's how. We can rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger gently upon the tip of our left ring finger. And we can do that while placing our hands in our lap. Now, this could seem overwhelming. That's fine. It's okay to be overwhelmed. Give yourself permission to do this badly and even get lost. That's fine. I live stream a class on YouTube once every, 11 to 13 hours. Due to my health, it's not as consistent as I would like. I would like to do it every 12 hours. But anyway, whether you come to these live streams live or you watch them on replays, once again on YouTube, if you do it once every 12 hours, within a week or two, you'll learn this technique. It's inevitable. So, having gone over the rudimentaries, let's return to button 9 and the task at hand. If at any time you get lost, Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Some people keep their eyes wide open. Some people keep their eyes tightly closed. Some people keep their eyes gently closed. Some people keep their eyes at half-mast. Some gaze at the sky, some gaze at the horizon, some gaze at the earth. Listen to your body. Please do what works best in the moment. So I'm going back to the jumbo can and to begin counting or collecting our second collection of 144 breaths. We drag the tip of our left ring finger from the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger to its second knuckle. So to count our final collection of up to 144 breaths, we shall adjust our finger placement. So we well, let me just adjust this thusly. So I was holding my hands this way so that the tip of the left ring finger was resting upon the second knuckle of the right ring finger. And now I'm switching that to the base of the right little finger and replacing the left ring finger with the left little finger. I hope that makes sense. We close with Mahayoga's loving second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path that leaps over competitive jealousies, obstruction to omniscience. Let us begin with the loving wish. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully enlightened as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by a tikle one syllable or bija mantra. So what we're going to do is take all these words and coalesce them into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. But before we do, allow me to remind you that the mental morality of kind intention is the second fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all relationships or speech of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha speech symbolized by mantra. Allow me to remind you that the interpersonal morality of kind communication is the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all bodies or forms of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health seen in Buddhist statuary, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yadaman archetype of enlightenment such as Kuntu Zangpo. The physical morality of kind conduct is the fourth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the safe fortune or boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or vati. The circumstantial morality of kind commerce is the fifth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You can even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.